Just 5 words. That was the spark that ignited the most frantic day in WNBA history. Chicago had just watched their franchise cornerstone walk out the door, the one player who defined their future. Then Caitlin Clark tapped out 5 words, clicked send, and effortlessly hijacked the spotlight in a city she does not even play for. While every talking head spent 48 hours yelling about front office failures and internal drama, the Indiana Fever organization was just kicking back, watching their master plan unfold exactly as they had envisioned it. Everyone missed the bigger picture. So, let us peel back the curtain on what really went down. April 6th, 2026. The floodgates of the WNBA offseason swing wide open. Boom, the first explosion hits instantly. The Sky deal Angel Reese, their 2-time All-Star and the heart of their brand. She is the most talked about name in the game, and suddenly she is headed to Atlanta. The haul? 2 mid-round picks. Critics absolutely shredded the deal, giving Chicago a flat-out F grade while the fans spiraled into chaos. Legends are baffled. Social media is melting down. Everything boils down to one simple, desperate question. What are they thinking? Right as Chicago fans were mourning their star, Caitlin Clark grabbed her phone. The Cubs had just announced a contest for their 150th anniversary, looking for new cookie recipes. They wanted new snacks for the Wrigley Field concession stands. Clark, a die-hard Cubs enthusiast, hit quote tweet and dropped a 5-word bomb that shattered the internet. Would love to be the taste tester. If you have followed our breakdown of her massive influence, smash that like button, because we are exploring the biggest story nobody is actually talking about this season. Trust me, this is about way more than sweets. The Cubs fired back in minutes with a simple, absolutely, and the city just went nuclear. People were joking that the Sky cleared roster space for her, while others wanted her on the mound at Wrigley. It was Clark's name on every screen, not the star who just got traded. Forget the blockbuster deal or the Sky's future. Caitlin was the only topic in town the very day their franchise player vanished. Think about that. April 6th was not just some quirky social media moment between a star and a baseball team. This was not some fluff piece to fill a slow news day. You just saw the most powerful display of raw influence ever seen in women's sports. No microphones, no podiums. She did not issue a formal release or call up a single high-powered executive. She just tapped her screen and shifted the entire vibe of a major sports hub. A city grieving its own team suddenly turned its eyes to her, despite her not playing a single second or having any PR machine behind it. 5 words. 3.2 million people hooked on her every move. But here is where everyone else talking about this totally misses the point. They think the tweet is the news. They think the cookies are the headline. Sure, the fans' reaction was wild, but that is just surface-level stuff. The real narrative is the engine driving the whole thing. Why does a post about baking matter this much? Because it reveals exactly how Indiana is constructing a powerhouse this year. Her massive influence is not a side effect of the Fever's plan, it is the plan. It is the core tactic, the motor, the reason this whole thing actually succeeds. Let us break it down, starting with Kelsey Mitchell, who was hitting the open market as a free agent. She is an elite talent who could have easily sparked a bidding war for a massive Supermax contract. Instead, she inked a $1.4 million deal with Indiana before the chaos even started. The reason? Mitchell did not hold back. Clark went on national TV and told the world that Mitchell was her top priority, her indispensable partner on the court. When the face of the game tells the entire country she needs you beside her, you do not shop around. You sign that dotted line immediately, because you are being offered a front-row seat to basketball history. Lexie Hull is playing by that same logic, just with a different set of circumstances. As a restricted free agent, she had every right to see what other teams were offering. But after playing every game last season, she saw exactly how dangerous this squad became during those 13 games with a healthy Clark. She dropped 16.5 points every single game. She put up 8.8 assists, numbers that basically reinvent the game for every cutter and corner shooter on the floor. Hull saw how this team works from the inside, and most players would take a pay cut to stay. She's not going anywhere. That restricted qualifying offer is as good as signed before the ink even has a chance to dry. Then you have Sophie Cunningham, the best example of the Clark effect. She is currently a completely free agent. Right now, she could literally sign with any team in the league. She's proven she is a tough, versatile wing who plays hard defense and brings that edge championship teams absolutely crave. But Cunningham's entire career changed just because she was playing right next to Clark. She became the team's bodyguard, diving into every fight and even losing a tooth to protect Clark, becoming a viral star for it. Her social media following just blew past 1 million. She went from a solid veteran to a massive cultural icon, all because of her connection to that one player. Do you honestly think she's going to walk away from that? Why trade a guaranteed path to fame and a title run for a fresh start somewhere else? Cunningham is staying put. This isn't just a guess. This outcome is already baked into the very world that Clark is building around herself. 3 major pieces were locked in before other teams even finished their first internal meetings of the offseason. Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Erica Timpson were already under contract before the free agency market even opened up. That is 6 core players secured within the first 48 hours of the offseason. No other team moved with that kind of speed or that level of absolute certainty about what they were building. While everyone else was still debating their priorities, Indiana already had the entire frame of the house built. And honestly, that is only the part of the plan we can actually see. The part that nobody is even talking about yet, the part this story is just starting to show, is who Indiana is hunting with their cap space and why players already want in. Because the Clark effect doesn't just stop with the players already wearing a Fever jersey, it is reaching across the entire league into living rooms and agency meetings, changing how veterans think about where they actually fit in this new era of basketball. And when those talks happen, Indiana usually wins the battle before the actual negotiations even get started. Do me a favor, drop a comment and tell me, if you were a free agent, would you take less money to join Indiana? Because the answer to that isn't just a fun thought, it's the whole point. The fact that you're probably thinking yes right now proves exactly what I'm saying. Let's look at Alanna Smith, because this is the move that turns Indiana from a threat into something much more dangerous. Smith was actually the co-defensive player of the year last season. She swatted nearly 2 shots a night while hitting almost 40% of her threes on high volume. That mix of elite rim protection and outside shooting almost doesn't exist anywhere else in the league right now. There is a ton of buzz right now about Smith and Indiana having a real mutual interest heading into this free agency window. It's not official yet. We're still in the world of early rumors and sourced whispers rather than signed deals. But the fit? It's not just good, it is absolutely perfect. The one big hole Indiana had last season was their interior defense and a lack of size in the front court. Putting Smith next to Aaliyah Boston would give them a defense that playoff teams would spend weeks trying to figure out. You get Boston's skill on offense and Smith's ability to block shots and stretch the floor on the other end. That duo doesn't exist anywhere else. Then there's Azura Stevens, who made her interest in Indiana very public in a rare way. She jumped on TikTok, called Indy a nice little city, and was chatting with Fever fans in the comments section. Trust me, players do not do things like that by accident. You don't go out of your way to tease a fan base for a team you have no interest in joining. Stevens is a smooth wing scorer who can come off the bench, get buckets, and keep the floor spaced out for everyone. She is exactly what Indiana is looking for, the perfect fix for a very specific problem they need to solve. She is dropping hints so obvious you would have to be blind to miss them. Before we really start peeling back the layers on the money side of things, look, the breakdown of the cap is going to leave every single skeptic squirming, especially if these deep dives are why you keep tuning in. Think about hitting that join button. Seriously, your backing is what lets us actually dig this deep while everyone else just skims the surface. You will find the link right underneath. Okay, let us talk salary cap. This is exactly where the haters think they have won, so let us tear that apart. For context, the WNBA cap for 2026 is $7 million. The Fever already have $3.4 million tied up in Clark, Mitchell, and Boston, 3 stars eating up about half the total budget. That means $3.6 million remains for 9 players. Factor in well-deserved bumps for Hull and Cunningham in this new market, and you are looking at maybe $2.5 million left for 7 spots. Skeptics see those figures and start shouting about how the roster is top-heavy. The cap will crush them. Depth is impossible. The math just fails. Just stop. Honestly, that logic is totally flipped. The cap is not a threat to what Indiana is building at all. In fact, it shows just how brilliant their strategy really is. Building a title team with a hard cap isn't about just throwing money around. It is about putting cash in the right spots and finding the perfect people to fill in the gaps. What the Fever are doing right now is basically a masterclass in roster building. You dump your biggest assets into the 3 stars who drive your success: Clark, Mitchell, and Boston. Half the cap? Totally worth it. Then you give Hull and Cunningham raises that actually match their value, without getting tricked into overpaying for hype. Then you bring in one specific free agent for $400,000 to $600,000 to fix your biggest weakness. After that, you round things out with veterans on minimum deals who choose a shot at a ring over a bigger paycheck somewhere else. And you use that draft pick to grab a cheap rookie who can step in and contribute right from day one. 12 players. 3 stars, 2 specialists, 1 major addition, and 6 vet min guys. That right there is the formula. And funnily enough, that is exactly how the Warriors won 4 rings. They did not have 12 max deals or an all-star in every single slot. They had 3 world-class talents at the top: Curry, Clay, and Draymond, surrounded by high-character guys who knew their jobs. Indiana is basically copying the Golden State playbook for the WNBA. Only the numbers changed. The core strategy is the same. But here is the kicker. Indiana has one huge edge the Warriors never had. They are currently the premier destination for players chasing a ring. Every sport has those older vets who will happily take a massive pay cut just to play for a real title contender. We see this in every major league, and it is happening in the WNBA right this second. The Fever bring a total package that literally no other team can touch. You have a championship-ready squad, anchored by a once-in-a-generation superstar. You have a crowd that packs the arena and cares about this team with a passion most teams will never see. Plus, a $78 million practice facility is opening soon that will be the best in the entire league. And you get to play alongside the biggest name that women's sports has ever seen. Think about the veterans tired of losing, tired of empty arenas, and tired of playing for teams with zero future. Those women are going to call Amber Cox and tell her they will play for whatever the minimum is. They just want in. Indiana will have choices that other teams could only dream of. Look, if anyone you know is still totally ignoring what is happening in Indiana, send them this video immediately. This next section completely changes the whole offseason narrative. Let us look at the bigger picture here. When you just see the one-off signings, like Mitchell staying or Hull getting an offer, it just looks like a few solid basketball moves. But when you step back and see the entire chessboard, it is a whole different story. You are watching a front office that is not just following the market, they are literally building it. Phase 1. Lock down the core right away. They did that in the first 48 hours. Phase 2. Go after the pieces that actually fit, not just the biggest names or flashy stars. Surgical skill sets for very specific roles. Smith and Stevens aren't just lucky additions, they're the calculated answers to high-stakes questions. Phase 3. Use the draft to grab elite talent on an entry-level budget. Indiana's number 10 pick, Music, was no happy accident. In a $7 million cap world, a high-impact rookie on a bargain deal is a massive competitive edge. Step 4. Let music. The Clark effect finish every lingering debate, because when free agents compare Indiana to the field with their agents, is greater than music, is greater than the roster, the coaching, the fans, the facility, and that massive media spotlight Indiana wins, that side-by-side comparison almost music, effortlessly every single time. That is a total ecosystem, not a panic move based on rivals, not a frantic effort to plug holes. It's a pre-planned, perfectly timed, cold-blooded architecture running on multiple gears, music at once, using Clark's sheer magnetism to make every other piece work. And that viral cookie tweet, it wasn't just some cute social media moment, it's the ultimate smoking gun. It's the proof this draw is real, heavy, and working at a scale never seen in women's sports history. She dominates the news without even playing. She can take over the biggest sports market in the Midwest, music, with just 5 words posted from her phone. She makes a whole league's worth of free agents want to play in Indy just by being exactly who she is. May 9th is greater than music is greater than Dallas Wings. Gainbridge Fieldhouse. That's when the curtain rises. That is when the rest of the WNBA gets their first real look at what Indiana has built. And judging by every signal we've seen this winter, every signing, every phone call, every TikTok comment from a player in an Indianapolis living room, the Wings and the world aren't just seeing a squad. They are seeing a squad ready to own an era. Subscribe and hit that bell right now, because our opening night recap drops the second the buzzer sounds. You definitely don't want to miss our take. Getting a first look at this roster in action is something you cannot afford to show up late for. The idea of a dynasty is no longer just talk. The foundation has been poured. Now all that's left is watching it rise.